Life as we know it has changed. Even though our plans, hopes, and dreams were placed on hold, this game called life is still being played. There is no timeout, halftime, or final whistle. It's changing, growing, and evolving, and so are you. It's not about being able to fulfill your dreams right now. It's about how hard you are willing to work to make them come true. And although we are apart, we are still playing a part together. Don't let the fear of missing the goal keep you from playing the game. So don't stop. Play on.
And welcome to the first ever Engen Play On Locker Room Talks. We can't be together this year in the Engen Knockout Tournament, and even though we've launched an exciting new women's edition, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are staying safe and playing at home, but we launched these locker room talks to still inspire you in some way, to make sure that we are still learning as players, parents, and coaches. So this is the very first one in our series of webinars. We've got a fantastic panel. Portia and Monde is here with us today. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them, but first, here's a welcome message from our host club today, Wits Junior Football Club.
Welcome everyone. My name is Kabungo Mubanga. I'm the Senior Manager Operation of Wits Sport. We've been part of the Engen Knockout Challenge for close to 15 years now, and it's or even more. And it's a great initiative. It's a great program. It's a great talent identification program that has been happening at Mox Park. We believe that Engen is in the forefront of development. With that being said, we also have them launching the women's leg of it, which for me is showing great strides. It's showing another avenue for female players to be able to showcase their talent. Enjoy the webinar. We will be discussing career opportunities within sports, and not specifically with football, but sports in general. So if you feel that you won't be able to make it in football, at least you've got an opportunity to see yourself doing something else in the sports industry. Do enjoy the webinar. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to show us in the competitions coming later on.
Thank you so much to Wits Junior Football Club, our host club for today. Now, I promised you some housekeeping rules before we get stuck into today's topic, which is all about career opportunities, such a key topic. I want to remind you to keep in touch with us, to share your thoughts on social media. Use the hashtags Engen Play Apart, Play It Forward, and Engen Soccer. Those are the three hashtags to use for these locker room chats. You can also tag us at engen.sa on Instagram, Engen_soccer on Twitter, and Engen Soccer on Facebook. Now, Portia and Monde are our panelists for today. Just want to give you a brief introduction to them. Portia is a certified life coach, so the perfect one to talk about career opportunities then. She has a certification from the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, Center for Coach in Cape Town. Portia works with individual clients, she works with groups, workshops, and is an inspiring speaker, which we are about to find out. Her qualifications include a postgraduate diploma in business administration from the UCT Graduate School of Business. Monde is our resident goalkeeper coach, experienced. He was part of the Nedbank Kiona talent search that spread nationally since 2013. In 2019, he was the goalkeeper coach for the SA Under-20 women's national team that competed in the COSAFA tournament, also part of the same team that went to the All-Africa Games in Morocco. He was appointed goalkeeper coach for the SA Under-17 women's national team for that COSAFA tournament in Mauritius. They finished runners-up that year, and he was also the SA Under-20 men's national assistant coach for the COSAFA youth tournament. What a lineup, what a CV for both of you. Welcome, so great to have you with us, and such an important topic as well. Portia, I'll start with you. Career opportunities. You've prepared something for us to talk about to the players, girls and boys, and their parents and coaches. What is your first message, your most important message I think you want to share with them?
So I think for me, my intention in today's session is to really share tools and insights around career guidance with the players. I think it's often very difficult for all of us to navigate your career on your own. So it's for me to really share practical tools that they can use to navigate their careers, to provide different opportunities post-football and during their football career, and to really, and most importantly, link their career opportunities to their passion, their natural interests, and something that they really will be motivated to do in the future.
Monde, you also mentioned something very important, which I think was not always shared with us as aspiring athletes, and that's the importance of academics.
That's true. I always say that my message is that train hard so that you can study hard, and then if you can find the balance between the two, you'd always have a better chances of killing two birds with one stone.
Portia, in our chat before this, something interesting came up. Japanese method of, please share that with us.
So I think most importantly, this tool can be used for any industry. It's really a career guidance tool to help you navigate your own interests and passions, but use really practical questions that are reflective of you, and that will then help guide you towards where you want to go or where the opportunities lie. So the tool is basically called the Ikigai, pronounced Ikigai. It's really reflective of the Japanese culture around always finding purpose and fulfillment in the work that you do. So the tool really basically separates your life into 4 different categories. So it looks at what you love, what you can be paid for, what the world needs from you, and what you're good at. So it really works with a series of questions around those 4 categories to help you kind of reflect and negate where you want to go and where your interests and passion, and how you can live a life of fulfillment and purpose rather than building a career based on money and societal expectations or family even expectations.
I think that's so important and something we don't really teach the young ones. Can you just break it down a little bit more for us? Because you're mentioning a series of questions and I'm intrigued now.
So with the 4 different categories with Ikigai, it will look at, say, what you're good at. So it will ask you a few questions like, what were your interests when you're young? What are the things that make you get out of bed? What are the things that you can talk about and can't stop talking about them? What motivates you? What are your interests? And then what the world needs from you would look at, what are the things that are happening in society or globally that are important to you, that really raise your emotions? What are the things within your community or your cultures that you can address, that you're passionate about? And then what you can get paid for is things that you're not necessarily good at or interested in, but the opportunities present themselves. So it's looking at, okay, I'm maybe already providing this skill or tool to someone or an organization. How can I use that maybe even as a side hustle while I'm following my passion or looking towards my fulfillment? And then things that you're good at are mostly things that people think you do naturally. So what are the people around you say you're good at? What do you think are the skills that you haven't been mostly technically trained in, but they come up naturally to you? So looking at all those spheres in your life, and how can you use that to kind of create a roadmap in mapping out what are the career options? So with what does the world need? Let's say you're good in tech or you're passionate about women empowerment. What the world needs would be getting involved in organizations that maybe address gender-based violence against women. Or within the tech space, how can you use tech as your passion to address those opportunities or social opportunities that could change the world, that speak to you as a person. So it's really about using those 4 categories and reflecting on who you are and what issues you want to address in the world, and it kind of helps you navigate what are the different options or where the possibilities are.
No wonder when we think Engen Knockout Challenge, we think football and that's it. You've navigated a space of you're working here as a speaker. You have also worked as a goalkeeper coach, assistant coach. There's so many different opportunities which, when they're starting to play, they maybe not see. So what is your kind of advice? What is the main points you wanted to bring across?
Basically, Jules, it's just to bring it back to the science part. You know that if a healthy mind always is productive. You know, and with young footballers who aspire and have passion to the game and aspire to one day maybe hear their names being shouted on the stands, they must also understand that it's not everyone that will get that opportunity. And with that, it does not say that you have to stop playing the game, because you can play the game and also be a good student on the academic side, you know. And with opportunities that are coming up, there's lots of opportunities that they can come up. You can study whilst playing football. There's opportunities now that you can get. There's competitions that are being played, adversities that help or aid the chances of aspiring footballers to become pro, where they get scouted and they flourish with their talents. So basically, it's more of you can branch out every now and then, whereby whilst you're playing, you're learning the game, and other people, they are born leaders. We've seen the legendary coach Pito. He has played the game, and whilst playing the game, he was a leader. At Cosmos, before he even went overseas, came back to Sanda, he was a leader, and that's when I believe that he found out that he has this thing of becoming a coach. Because whilst you play the game, the more you understand the game, that's where you draw the passion now of saying, even if I don't make it to become the next Messi or the next Ronaldo, I can be the next Pito or the next Clive Barker, you know. And that's the opportunity that came through at the time for Coach Pito to say, yes, I'm playing, I'm a leader, but I understand the game better. What can I make more out of this? Then he started educating himself, attending those coaching courses and all that. And there's lots of people that have done it before. I mean, Sean Majoro, to mention one, a qualified radiographer. He's still playing the game, and he's still scoring. So whilst playing the game, there's other opportunities that you can get. Amanda Dlamini. Today we speak of good analyst, excellent analyst, Simpiwe Review. The list is endless. So we have people that we've seen growing amongst us, who have studied, went to universities whilst they playing the game, and they made other opportunities out of joining the two. So the amalgamation between the two leads that you can always have other opportunities that arise whilst you play football. You don't have to necessarily focus on playing the game only. Yes, if luck is on your side, and maybe if God wants you to be on the stadium, Soccer City, playing 90,000 capacity, yes, you get the chance. But if you don't get it, because you have to remember that there's only 16 teams in the PSL. There's only 12 teams currently. It's going to turn 14 now in the National Women's Super League. So how many other people are looking to be part of those teams? So we have to also broaden our minds, broaden our landscape to say, yes, we want to be there, but if it does not get there, what other things that I can get while still in the beautiful game?
An important message, a tricky one as well, because we think, and I'm saying we as the footballers, that this career is going to work out for everybody, that it's going to be a long career for everybody, which not everybody's a Hlompo Kekana and going to play until, Belen Umvete, going to play until well into their 30s. Unfortunately, injuries are a huge part of the game. And players, the ones who are watching now, the youngsters, may be thinking, I don't have to take my schoolwork that seriously because I'm going to play. But that's not the reality for everyone.
Yeah, it's not a reality, to be honest, Jules, because at the end of the day, take it for instance, now the season has just come to an end. Abruptly for women's football,
yes,
where we'll restart in 2021. But for PSL football, some contracts were terminated. And it's not that these footballers, they cannot go on and play. They are still able to play, but unfortunately, the coaches at the current moment in their teams, they feel that they are surplus, their team is surplus. And it's of utmost importance that footballers understand that football can end at any minute, at any time. A new coach comes in mid-season, 6 months down the line, you are out. He says, I can't take this player. What's the next step? You don't have anything to fall on to. So that's why you always emphasize that. Always have education background that you can fall on to, even if it's not much, but something that will always lead you back. That in an occurrence that you stop playing, or maybe someone decides that you are surplus, you are deemed a surplus, then you have that opportunity to go, okay, this door is closed, I'm gonna knock on the next door. If this one is closed, also go to the next door. You might find the success. But now, how do you find success if you don't have anything behind you?
Portia, not just a situation unique to elite athletes, footballers, rugby players, cricketers, but in life. Things can happen, and we've seen it this year. We've all been hit for a six by COVID-19. Long gap in terms of the lockdown globally. It's affected people's jobs. People who are watching might, their clubs might have been closed. They may not have been playing football for 5 months. From a life coaching perspective, just the mentality that's needed to adapt and to also open yourself, as Monde was talking about, to always bettering yourself and educating yourself. What kind of advice do you have from a life coach perspective?
I think for me, my one strong message I want to give is around really looking at fulfillment. I think you spoke about COVID-19, how it impacted all of us. And previously, the previous culture of work has taught us that we choose jobs based on how much money you're going to make, and then people step into job positions and they're not fulfilled, so it affects their mental health, their physical health, their even performance in those jobs. So for me, I think my strongest message would be, again, like I was emphasizing with the Ikigai tool, is find that purpose. Find what it is that you were born to do. Why are you here? Who are you? What are you here to serve? What is your gift to the world? Start there and then navigate your different interests based on what you think you are here to serve the world with. And use your natural gifts to be of service, so that whatever happens, when the world stops or pandemics happen or there's a crisis, you're still full enough to be able to navigate the world and be at an okay mental state to be able to continue in whatever adversity that life brings towards you. So I think even with career opportunities, use those first fundamentals and then navigate from there, because as much as you are passionate about football, like what Monde said, you will have to maybe look at other options. But what else fulfills you besides off the soccer field? What else do you wake up and you're naturally good at? And I think for me, the strong messaging would be look at those as an option rather than what society has previously taught us around how you navigate your career opportunities or future goals.
It's interesting that Portia's talking from a life coaching point of view. You wanted to add on?
Yeah, a very important message of fulfillment. I can always say that I bear testimony to that. I grew up aspiring to be or to represent my national team as a goalkeeper. But here am I today sitting here. In 2015, I was given an opportunity to become a goalkeeper coach for Bafana in the Chentonas, which is something that when she speaks of, Portia speaks of fulfillment. Yes, I didn't get an opportunity to say, I was never given an opportunity to become Bafana number one goalkeeper. Yes, but I still have that fulfillment that, oh yes, I've donned the national team colors, but wearing a different cap. The need to find fulfillment is very important in life, And sometimes, as I said, you might think that this door is meant for you, only to find that no. Yes, this door is a passage for you to get to your dream. So that's a very important point that Portia is bringing on the table.
That's what I was going to say. She's speaking from a life coaching point of view, but we can apply it to corporate, to professional, and to sport as well. And when bringing back the COVID-19 pandemic, it shows us stay flexible, because it may not be the door you wanted, like you're saying, but it may be what's meant for you, right? That's also, I suppose, an important thing to remember to perhaps the parents who are now having to reshuffle their careers, for the kids, for the coaches who are having to rethink of different ways now to pay for, their livelihoods. Very important to stay fluid, to adapt.
I think I'll share from a personal perspective is I also come from that same journey where I made my career choices initially after varsity based on money and what was going to get me to my perceived success at that time quicker. And I walked the road where I was in a job doing well and I was not feeling that inner fulfillment. So that affects your mental health, it affects how you show up at work, it affects eventually your performance. And I started again. I was like, well, let me find that fulfillment and passion, and now I found it within coaching. That's what I was born to serve and do, and it's helped me. I mean, during the pandemic when everyone else was in panic, I could use my coaching tools to understand that life is ever changing and be of inspiration and motivation to others and be that example to say, look at me, I've done it. I had to start my life from scratch 3-4 years ago before COVID, so it will be fine, So I think the more we also live life from that perspective, and again, like Spain was saying before, that's why service is important. Through your service or living your vocation, you're able to inspire those around you, and that's how society will function and kind of be better.
That adaptability is also key, just to bring it back to the Engen Knockout Challenge. It's key in a team, and something important to learn, I suppose, from a young age. Sometimes it doesn't go your way on the field, and if you can learn that within a team sport, I suppose you can carry it then into whatever work you're going to do later on. Do you agree?
I agree fully, Jules, because again it draws back to what we were talking about earlier, the point that when you in an environment of education, yes, in a class, when you write your exams, you test, the results come back, the grade, they are not the same. She might have got 80, you get 70, I get 60, all of us pass. But the mere fact that the grades are not the same, and even in a team environment, it's like that. You might find that, yes, you give everything. You give 70%, you give 80%, you give 90%. The coach comes in and says, no, for this game or for this tournament, I'm only going to use this person that's going to give me 50 because it's applicable for me in this tournament. So it prepares you as well to when you're in a working environment whereby you sit down, you settle down, your bosses comes in and say, no, I'm not going to use you for this campaign. You don't have to take it personally. You are part of this team. And with you being part of this team, it doesn't mean that you're not pulling your weight. It simply means one thing, that this is not your opportunity, not yet. The biggest mistake that athletes do is that when they don't get an opportunity, they take it as a no. And sometimes you have to look at it in a different environment. Yes, it's a no, but it does not end there. It's a no, not now. It's a no, not yet. It's continuous. This life is continuing. It might be a no for the next person tomorrow. So it's easy for them to adapt. Even for us as coaches, they always say that you plan for a training session with 20 players. Even a national team level, you've called 20 players. And then it happens that 2 players wake up with a sore stomach or throat or whatever. So you have to adapt as well. Right there, and you cannot call the session off because, no, I've planned my session with 20 players. This session cannot happen because 3 players are not there. No, you have to adapt. You've planned for a pitch that is nicely cut. Now you find there's holes wherever in Africa. There's patches of
of soil and grasses and all that. The session has to go on. Adapt. What can you do in the situation? Yes, you're not going to play here. Can you play a 7-a-side, small side there? There's nice grass there. In this pitch, can you use it? Yes, use the space. Adapt. The most important thing is for us to adapt. Even now, post-COVID, it's all about adaptation. Yes, your parent is not working, or the parent is earning lesser now because of the lesser number of days that she's working, but it does not mean that is the end of the world. Now you have to adjust. You don't have to ask for those expensive 4,500 soccer boots. If the parents can afford 2,000 soccer boots, adapt so that life can go on.
And those are the moments that give you your biggest lessons. Yeah, Portia's
Oh,
just
we keep
reminding
on
us here to sanitize. Thank you. It's been a long enough time. Those moments when you have to adapt, when you have to change your strategy, when you have to look at yourself and say, what do I need to learn? What do I need to improve on? What do I need to work on within myself? Those are the moments when you really grow, and those are the moments where you get your best life lessons. You don't remember the perfect training sessions. Chances are you remember the ones where you had to adapt.
I couldn't agree more. I think COVID-19 again has taught us a lot about self-reflection, about change, about adversity, and I think it's also given all of us a time to adapt. And I would encourage the players to think a lot about what we've said here around adaptability and fulfillment, and look at what else can the world offer you, but what else can you offer the world.
Okay, we're about halfway through our session now, and I wanted to remind you that we do have space for a Q&A at the completion of this first webinar. So get your questions in, type them in. Our two guests will be answering them at the end of the session. Those questions and the short questionnaire at the end relating to the topic we've just discussed are so important. They're going to follow each session, and it's really important for players to accumulate points for their club to win the overall participation prize. So clubs with the highest points and participation in both the webinar and fitness drills. In each of the regions, you'll win 1 card vouchers for each team member to the value of 250 Rand. Just a reminder of those hashtags: Engen Play a Part, Play It Forward, and Engen Soccer. Those are the 3 hashtags you can use, please. All right, Portia, we've talked around career opportunities, what to do, how to follow your passion. Give us some practical advice. I am a young footballer who's been a part of the Engen Knockout Challenge for years. It doesn't turn out that I'm going to be a professional. What are my options?
So I would look at it in 2 ways for the players. I'd say really look at maybe aligning yourself to different opportunities within the sporting field or with brands that are sport related. So if then you realize that your passion is also marketing or brand or within the digital space, then look at which organizations are aligned with sports that you can then build careers around. So you could be a social media content manager for an existing soccer team. You could even go into brand management for Puma or Nike, which is not within the sports field, but it's very much aligned to the sporting brands. You could look at different technical opportunities. So we know tech is growing now. What opportunities are there for brands that are doing tech within the sporting space? So those are kind of the corporate type of roles that I would ask players to look at within the corporate space. But another option is also look at where the environment is going now, where the world is going post-COVID. So which industries are likely to grow now? I mean, COVID was not all doom and gloom. There's definitely a lot of change that comes with a lot of opportunity. So for instance, the healthcare industry, there's going to be a lot of investment in that industry with hospitals, with technology, with pharmaceuticals. Those industries are growing. What opportunities could there be there? Fitness. We've been reminded about the importance of looking after our bodies. How can you grab opportunities there, whether you create opportunities for yourself or you work with organizations that are within the fitness space. Digital fitness is also increasing as an opportunity because we've all been isolated and working out from home. There's a lot of fitness apps coming. That's where maybe tech can come in as well. There's e-commerce. There's opportunity maybe with outside of soccer you can start a little entrepreneurial gig. E-commerce is growing now. How can you maybe get onto the bandwagon and start also operating and selling services and products online? Aligned with e-commerce, there's also logistics and supply chain. That's going to be growing so much because with e-commerce growth, we need to support it with logistics and supply chain.
Portia, just to go back to a point you made earlier, social media. You
Yeah.
mentioned it, but it is so huge right now, especially because we've all been living digitally
Yeah.
more than ever. Our worlds have shrunk
Yeah.
and we're living them more online. COVID has forced us, the lockdown has forced us to do that. As a player, if I'm thinking career options, I could go and work in social media, but it's also important to make sure that my social media is representative of a good brand, of a clean brand, isn't it?
And I think spot on. I think personal branding is very important, especially for the players. So it's about what are you posting on your social media? Who do you want to be perceived as a player? What content do you think is relevant to who you are as a person, at both off the field and on the field? How can you merge that so that even when opportunities come, whether they within social, working with social media or corporates, but a lot of organizations are now looking at social media as part of your CV and part of who you are. So how can you start revamping your social media to represent you as a personal brand? And I think that's very important. Like you're saying, a lot of your presence is going to be digital now, and who do you want to be perceived as, and what kind of name or example do you want to set out there for who you are on your social media? So definitely very important from a hiring perspective, but also from a personal branding perspective.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll be touching a little bit more about on social branding as the webinars continue and we go through this series, talking about building a brand and so on. It's coming up a little bit later on Engen Play on Locker Room Chats. Monde, Portia's mentioned a couple of very interesting job opportunities or ideas that perhaps the players hadn't thought of. But to go into any of those industries, it comes back to what you said.
Yeah.
You've got to study for them.
Yep. You have to study for them.
Yeah.
There's lots of opportunities that comes in, especially when you in and around the football game. You know, as a youngster, as I've said earlier about Coach Pito as an example, and I can also bring in an example with a friend of mine that I played with at the University of Johannesburg. Tami Kuzwa, he's a PSL administrator now, you know, and he got that by studying sports management, you know, and there's the list goes on, you know. Amanda Lamini, I mentioned earlier, analysts and opportunity that you can make out of football. Krista Khampe, she's a massage therapist. Those opportunities that comes in whilst you're being in and around the game, and then you can also branch out and be a referee.
Yes.
You can also branch out and be a referee. You playing the game, you understand the rules better. You know, maybe not as better as the referees because footballers we always complain, coaches, it's okay. So those are opportunities that comes in, you know, and it's a multi-million industry now, the football. Lots of opportunities comes in. You know, you can be a video analyst.
Yes.
Teams now they cannot do without video analyst. You know, I looked at Sundown's technical team now. They're about 13. You know, with 3 or 4 video analysts.
One working for the games
team.
before, the games that they're doing now, the games in Africa. Yes.
You see, so it's a chain, you know, and with post-COVID, as Portia said, still the game will grow longer because even now, even in my specialization area, goalkeeper coaching, parents now are going to be a little bit two minds to say, can my child go and try? Now opportunities come in now. Former players, they can come in and become goalkeeper coaches, individual, one-on-one, less contact. Parents feel that their kids are safer in a safe environment instead of a team environment, whilst they are waiting for the right opportunity. When everything comes back to normal, then the child is back competing.
Interesting that you mentioned Tommy, because he was the administrator at the hotel I was staying in the bubble. I can tell you he does his job to the letter. So shout out to Tommy. Maybe people don't know all of the jobs within a technical team, and perhaps you can shed some light onto that. It's not only a goalkeeper coach. Some clubs have forwards coaches, fitness trainers. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, a full list of it obviously starts with the team manager, which it might be an opportunity that you can get. You don't necessarily need to be in the pitch for you to be part of the team. A team manager, you have the head coach, you have the assistant coach. Other teams, they choose to have 2 or 3. You can have a goalkeeper coach. Actually, it's not an option. You must have a goalkeeper coach.
Of course.
A goalkeeper coach, and then a sports and conditioning coach, which is necessarily called as a fitness coach.
Yes. One of all those positions you mentioned brings me back to the Engen Knockout Challenge. It reminds me that this is not only a platform for players, it's then a platform for coaches, for referees as well.
Yeah, look, if Jules, you can look back, maybe if I can name the full a list of technical team members, it starts with a team manager. You don't necessarily need to be in the field of play for you to be part of the team. A team manager, head coach, assistant coach. Other teams, they choose you have 2 or 3. They have a goalkeeper coach, physical trainers / fitness coaches. They have a team doctor, physiotherapist, a kit manager. Other teams that own their own traveling buses, they also have what they term a bus driver or transport manager. And the panel can just grow bigger. Some, they have team scouts, they have video analysts, so the list just goes on. So opportunities are there. It's just a matter of you finding your passion and fulfilling your passion.
And I suppose directors of football will also become increasingly popular in South Africa as they have overseas, and that's another avenue for a former player, so maybe not just a coach. Portia, the importance, I'm thinking back to when I was interning, the importance of being willing to let your passion lead you to get that experience. So Monde's mentioned all of these positions, but you don't just become a head coach of a Mamelodi Sundowns or Pirates or Chiefs. You start somewhere. You start at a tournament like the Engen Knockout Challenge. You get that experience. You work in development. The importance then, I guess, of being willing to sometimes put in the time and not get your worth in terms of money, because a lot of people will just see, I'm not getting paid, so I'm not going to bother doing it, and yet it all adds to your CV.
I think we've kind of spoken, and we speaking golden thread now around passion and fulfillment, because if that passion isn't there, you won't have the drive to kind of show up every day without the monetary compensation. So I think definitely passion is important, and like I was saying before about the ikigai, also link passion to skills that you're naturally good at. So then maybe like what Monde was saying, and find opportunities that, okay, I'm passionate about football, but what else am I good at? So am I going to go the technical part? Am I going to go the more medical, like physiotherapy part? But I think the passion must drive you, because that's when you know that you're paying your dues, you're planting the seeds so that you can harvest later. So I think that definitely my messaging will still be follow your passion, find fulfillment in every single thing that you're doing, and also be of service. So who are you serving on the field, but also off the field, who are you serving? So that it feels natural, it feels fulfilling, and the rest you will harvest later.
The importance then, I guess, of that professionalism. You were mentioning players supporting coaches and understanding that everybody's got a role to play at a certain time in their careers, in their lives, and it may not be their moment now. But the importance of professionalism, of carrying yourself as a coach, I'm just talking about your experience now, because career opportunities will come and they'll be based on your abilities, they'll be based on your qualifications, but they're also based on who you are as a person, aren't they?
True, Jules. I believe that it's more of how you carry out yourself, discipline whilst you're still in the field of play will obviously set you a step higher than others when the day you stop playing the game comes, even when you still play. Nowadays I was listening just before the PSL season came back. I was listening to Peter when the Black Leopards released Kapinga. I was so impressed that they even went to a point whereby they seshed his lifestyle. Coach Peter always says that some other players, they can't stand being part of the team because their lifestyles, they don't match their ambitions. And when your goals and your dreams are higher, that you want to see yourself being part of the team that conquers South African football, conquers African football, and even challenging for your World Cup championships, you have to align yourself with the discipline measures that all those teams they put in. It's not an easy thing because when you're young, footballers participating in the Engen tournaments are 17, 18 years old. So they still easily influenced by others. If things didn't go out my way, no, Portia, we're not going there. It's a waste of time. This coach doesn't like us. Just because he or she does not play. So it always comes back. It always finds a way to come back to say, if you can stand your ground and say, no, my dreams are there, I want to see myself there, then it pushes you to a certain extent that you will achieve, because you know where your dreams are at. We can't share the same dreams. Yes, we might be directed the same way, but our dreams will definitely part ways wherever. She's willing to end up playing African football. My dream is to coach World Cup. My dream is to play Europa Championships. So that's where this discipline comes in. Yes, we train at 4. What time do I come training? How much time do I spend resting? Which is the most important part for the athletes. It's not about training, playing, going to see friends, partying all night. Next day we start again. No, it's about the discipline. How you plan your life, how you plan your day for you to reach your destinations of your dream.
Dan Clayton is going to be one of the guest speakers during this locker room chat, and he will tell you that he is there first in the morning. He's practicing his free kicks. Those free kicks don't just come out of thin air. They come because of the hours that you put in. David Beckham said how many hours he had to put in practicing his free kicks, and that's what he's known for. But you've mentioned such an important topic here, such a crucial one. We're talking career opportunities. But if I want to get to that position, I've got to make sacrifices. Even myself. I want to party on the weekends, but I can't because I've got a game on Saturday morning. Or I'm traveling. The nice times that people at the ages of the players that we're talking to right now, and I want you to repeat it, I want you to elaborate on it, because at this age, everyone is enjoying their weekends. Everyone is sleeping late on a Saturday morning or playing video games on a Wednesday when you are at training. It's hard to say no. It's hard to be different, but you got to think long game, end goal.
Yeah, my advice, Jules, will be to the young footballers is that don't be afraid to lose friends, especially for chasing your dreams, because no one will give you a push for your dreams except yourself. So it's it's just that point whereby you have to differentiate between you want to live this life for your friends or you want to jump over to live this life in order to chase your dreams, and it just reminds me of a situation whereby there was once a player that I coached that he believed that he knew football, he understood football, and I said, if you know football, it's okay, but ask yourself why you're not playing PSL level now if you think you know football. At that time, we were participating at that tier of South African football, and he came back to me 2 months later and said, Coach, I made a wrong statement to you, by saying that I understand football. And I sat him down and I said, push everything away from you. Focus on your studies. Focus on your dreams. Chase your dreams. And I can tell you that on Saturday, he played 15 minutes of the last game at the Pitford Stadium when Chiefs was playing Morocco. I won't mention his name, but I'll just keep it like that. But he understood that he had to chase everything away from it. Friends, everything, push aside, focus your dreams. And then here he is today, he's playing professional football in South Africa. And he's not the only one. There's lots of people think that they know, they understand the game. Even us, the coaches, I still say today, I am a learning coach. Every day in football, we have to learn. You ask everybody, you ask even Pizzo, he has won 6 tackles, he's just on his own now. But he will tell you one thing, every day in football you learn. So there's no way that footballers can say that they understand that they know the game. If not, if they are, I always say, why not play the Champions League? Well, play the Champions League if you understand the game better, but you must learn to humble yourself. That's one other thing that footballers lack, humility. Even if you know, don't show it that you know. Humble yourself and be part of the learning team.
Because those same people who are hyping you up will be the first ones to diss you when you're not doing well.
Yes.
They'll be your biggest critics. Such a key lesson to learn for anybody in any walk of life, really. And to go back to the point that we were just making a little bit earlier, making those sacrifices. I'm looking at this long list of accolades here, the long list of degrees that you have to your name. It's a similar situation, not only in professional sports, when you're applying yourself to your studies, like many of the players are still. You have to make huge sacrifices.
Absolutely. I think, again, Monde mentioned the discipline. And also, it's about the goal setting. So when you set a goal, you need to understand you're taking 1 foot forward every day. And every step that you take towards the goal is worth it. And there will be difficult times as part of the process. But as long as you keep putting that 1 foot forward, you will get to your destination. You will achieve that goal. I think it's about remembering where you're going, remaining disciplined, surrounding yourself, I think you mentioned, surrounding yourself with the right people to support you with your goal setting. If there are any hindrances, then align yourself with people that are supporting you towards your goal rather than helping you deflect towards it. So I think for me, what helped with me was that discipline and that support of people who wanted me to succeed rather than people who were pulling me back.
One other thing that Monde mentioned, which I think is really important, and I suppose as we wrap things up and come to a close today, whatever your career path, the importance of being coachable.
Absolutely. I think in closing, I'll say with growth, I think you mentioned it before, is everybody needs to learn, or everybody needs to kind of be pulled in uncomfortable spaces. But I think being coachable is part of that growing space, because if you think you know it all, you're never going to grow, you're never going to learn. Always be open to learn from others. Always also accept other people and situations as they are. I think that's how we learn. And be open to different learning platforms. So you could be learning from a professional coach, but we have coaches in society around us all the time. So again, about aligning with the people that support your growth, and very much agree, the importance of being coachable to all of us. I think even the president has advisors that he's open to. So even in the highest ranks of life, everybody has people around them that are guidance, that are coaches. So I would really encourage the players to really open up yourself to that kind of support, to that kind of guidance. And I think Monde mentioned it, the humility. That's also a huge part of your growth. So, yeah, that's
Your
my final
closing
message.
Your closing remarks, Monde?
Yeah, even us as coaches, we still have coaches who are coaching us. So who are the players who are not going to allow themselves to be coachable? Every season teams, they buy players, whether you're a 17-year-old, 20-year-old, but once they buy you, it's a change of environment. The next coach will demand that you become coachable, and if you're not coachable, you might be hindering your opportunities of growth. So allow yourself to be coachable, and then you're opening doors for you to reach higher heights.
So that's another career opportunity. Coach the coaches. They've given you so many options, so much food for thought. Portia Kambi and Monde Hlatwayo. That concludes our first Engen Play On Locker Room series chat. I want to remind you that it's now time for the Q&A, which will be facilitated just after this. Monde and Portia will be answering your questions live. But for the first one of our locker room chats, it's been such a privilege to host you today. I'm Julia Stewart. We'll see you next time.